Okay, third class outline theological introduction to the book of Proverbs, the first one. The question about the book of Proverbs is that how should we live? How to get the way of wisdom so that we may be happy. So it's kind of eudaimonia, a principle of happiness. That is the book of Proverbs. And second one, the significance of the book of Proverbs is that it really gives very simple saying, very short proverbs, but in that they really try to reveal the essence of our life, the essence of happiness, and the essence of the order of God. So you have to remember it is very significant when we are reading the Proverbs. It's not just simply a happy thought, a happy experience of a successful life of human beings, but they are our old ancient Israelites, those wise people. They really want to know the God's order and what is really good and truthful life in human beings. And then they are trying to educate those descendants towards that real, true life. And then by that, they really want their young people to be wise and to have successful life. So there are two kinds of literature in our Proverbs. There is instruction, and the second one is a saying, sentences, very short sentences. So these instructions always say that you have to do it, and you shall not do that. So it is an instruction, and they are trying to build up some orders and some balances in the society. And second one, those short sayings, they are trying to give those young people that orderly life by giving them these sayings. They are awakened, enlightened, and they really find out what is the proper way in their social life. So it's kind of socialization. So they are trying to do that, especially in the book of Proverbs. And very significant contribution of those sages in the book of Proverbs is to giving the society a kind of orderly reality. So now they have their own ideal life. So even though our realities is chaotic, but they are really having ideal or concept of reality, and they in that reality they really find this kind of principles are really true, and it is a way of wisdom. So they are just educating the young people those ideal reality. In doing that, they are building, constructing reality, and in which the society enjoys that cosmos, enjoys the order of God. So that sages are performing that religious role in that society. So last week we heard about Mesopotamian sages and Egyptian sages. Mesopotamian sages are just everyday. They are concentrating on everyday life and then just ordinary wisdom. But now Egyptians, they are not only philosophical but also religious people. So likewise, this wisdom literature, these sages in the book of Proverbs, they are trying to educate those young people not only socially, also religiously. So they are concentrating on that religious life. So that is why the third part, theology of the book of Proverbs, is concentrated on the fear of Yahweh. So fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom. And last week I already told you that that fear of Yahweh, not that superficial belief, not that doctrinal repetition, but it is real fear from our bottom of our heart. It's a real belief in Yahweh is giving all our life upon the sovereign Lord. And then in every single moment you are before Yahweh. That's the real meaning of the fear of Yahweh. And when you are doing that, you are in the order of Yahweh. And that order, it is the ultimate purpose of God's commandments, God's law, God's statutes. All those commandments and all those words of Yahweh are oriented to this life of order. So that is why the book of Proverbs are emphasizing the fear of Yahweh. So it's not just a doctrinal theory, but it is real attitude, real perspective, and it is real life. All over your life should be like this, fearing of Yahweh. So kind of a characterization in your life. So as Jesus Christ was incarnated in flesh on the earth, likewise this fear of Yahweh should be incarnated in our bodily life. Okay, and then that is the first theological point. And the second point of the book of Proverbs, it is about theodicy. As you know, theodicy means it's a theory of justice, divine justice. So book of Proverbs are interested in this theodicy business, kind of theodicy teachings, because the community, they are trying to reach a consensus about distribution of pain and pleasure, and they need kind of comfort. They have to interpret their own life, right? So the book of Proverbs, they are sorting out who is entitled to what. So the wise and the righteous are entitled to security and happiness. On the other hand, the wicked and the foolish are entitled to poverty and misery. So theodicy really shows people that the good people will get reward, good things. The bad, wicked people will be punished by God, and they would be perished. So this good and evil ethical pattern is really highlighted in the book of Proverbs. But now, our reality, sometimes it goes opposite way. So that is why book of Job and Ecclesiastes appeared. So now our second book, the book of Job, is there. So what is main question about the book of Job? That is the question of Theodicy. Why? Why the righteous people suffered? That is the main question of the book of Job. But not only that theological question, but also many questions from the book of Job. So we will get there when we are doing the book of Proverbs. But for example, literary problems like chapters 1 and 2 is a narrative, but chapters 3 followings are poetry. And finally, chapters 42, the last chapter of the book of Proverbs, book of Job, again narrative. So it starts with narrative, ends with the narrative, but between the narrative there is poetry. So literary genre is not consistent. Not only the literary genre, but also those contents. Very strange. Why? Because in the main body, in the poetry part, Job disregards the retribution theory because he himself got suffered in spite of his perfect life before God. Those three friends, they are trying to accuse Job of his simple, hidden behavior. But Job himself, he really knew that I did anything wrong. I didn't anything wrong before God. But why this disaster came upon me? He couldn't understand. And also, we as a reader, it's hard to understand why righteous people like Job should be suffered from that catastrophe. Nobody knows. But you know what? Chapters 38 through 41, God's answer to Job's questions. Oh Lord, why I am being suffered from these disasters? What's wrong with me? What is there anything I did wrong before you? But God didn't answer to that. But God just showed divine order, the beautiful and that powerful mythic creature like Behemoth and Leviathan, and there is many animal world there, and there is heavenly stars, moon, everything goes in perfect way, in perfect pattern. How come that kind of orderly views gives Job comfort? But what we cannot understand is that finally Job in chapters 42 verse 1 through 6, he really said that, oh Lord, now so far I have only heard of you, but now I can see you. What happened to Job? And what kind of answer he got from that panoramic view from divine speeches? Nobody knows. So this kind of theological problems, literary questions, and also there is an existence of Satan. Who is the Satan there in the chapters 1 and 2? And the Satan in the last conclusion part disappeared. So many questions are going on in the book of Job. So we will solve one by one when we get there. Now, significance of the book of Job is that first of all, we have to remember God's providence and God's governance of this world is inscrutable, is ambiguous, is mysterious. So Book of Job didn't give any clear answer to that about theodicy. By contrast, the ancient Near Eastern literature, from Egyptian wisdom, from Mesopotamian wisdom, they try to give clear answer from divine part. But Book of Job is different. It didn't give us any clear answer about God's mysterious operation of this world. So it is very interesting that wisdom literature, usually it tries to give a clear cut between the good and the bad, and between the success and the failure. But here in the Book of Job, especially regarding theodicy, about God's governance, about God's justice, it gives us some ambiguous answer which challenges us to meditate, to reflect on divine justice furthermore. So it is will makes us continue to discuss about the justice of God, and in some part we will give all those principles of God's ruling is in the mystery. We have to realize. But before that, we try to find out, we try to discuss, to solve that righteous suffering and justice of this world. But the Book of Proverbs, Book of Job, it in some way it gives mystery. It put all things on the heaven. Yet, you have to, one thing you have to remember theologically, in the Book of Job, God is free from human principle, human doctrines, human theology. God Himself, God herself, God is God, and we are trying to find out His providence, but in the end, we cannot. And in a sense, the message of the Book of Job teaches us that, well, you have to commit all those questions to God, and sometimes you just follow. No matter you understand or you cannot understand, but just follow the way of God, who is the sovereign Lord and who is the creator, the maker of all those things. Anyhow, we will continue this kind of discussion when we are on the Book of Job. Now, the theological theme in the Book of Job is creation theology. And in this creation theology, one thing I have found from the Book of Job is that Job tries to find the nature of God and tries to find the justice of God. However, what Job found was the nature of human being, the justice of human being. So from theodicy to anthropodicy, questioning divine justice, but finally he reached to the human justice. So we will learn about that. Now, about Qoheleth. Qoheleth's main question is about the vanities in human life, because there is death, and that death not only for human being but all the animals, all those creatures, they have final death, final end. So everybody has to die, and then our human being is dead ultimately as other animals. So what is good thing about human beings, and what is good thing about our human business? So it is kind of pessimistic, kind of we cannot do anything. So it is very hard for the first time to read the Qoheleth. Then how come this kind of literature is in the Bible? But you have to remember, it is not the ultimate answer, ultimate message of Qoheleth, of the book of Ecclesiastes. So, but first of all, you have to focus on that question, the vanities of a human being. And then what is a human being? Why we are making every effort in our life. Finally, everybody has to die. But what is good thing about our business, our works? So that is the main question. So the significance of this book of Ecclesiastes is that it really challenges us that you should be honest. You should be as you are. Because ancient Israelites, since they are believing in the Lord and they are in covenantal relationship, they have to be always like people of God, and they always be like good people. They always be like be successful. However, this Qoheleth, he teaches us that, well, you have to see the negative side. Not you are always saying about that good aspect, good side, but our human being, there is a death and there is sufferings, and sometimes everything goes wrong and everything goes opposite way to our belief. So what's going on? And this Qoheleth really challenges us that you should be honest and you should be open to all those pain and all those sorrow in our life. Then, what is the answer? What is the theological theme of the Qoheleth? As you know, there are two things. There are so many things, but just outline. The first one, there is a time. Everything, every situation, in its own time, it happens. Proper time, you have to know. That's the wisdom, and that's the meaningfulness of our life. So Qoheleth chapter 3 is about that time, that is kairos. And third one, carpe diem, grasp the moment. So it is very interesting. Book of Ecclesiastes, it looks like pessimistic, and then it looks like very suspicious of life. But actually, the main message of the book of Qoheleth is you have to grasp the moment. You have make every effort in your present situation. When you are studying now, then you are just making every effort in concentrating on your studies. When you are playing with your friends, you just play there. So grasp the moment, carpe diem. It is just do not worry about any other things, but just focus on your present situation, present life. So some scholars they criticize that this one is kind of Epicurean teaching in the ancient Greek philosophy. So you just enjoy present life. Do not worry about any other things. Do not plan any future. So isn't it kind of Epicurean philosophy? But actually, this Qoheleth, he really touches. What he really touches about is that he is challenging us that you have to deny yourself. When he says, do not worry about your future, do not worry about other things, but you just focus on present situation, it means that you just commit all of your life to God. You have to deny yourself. When you deny yourself and when you just are dependent upon God, then nothing you are worrying about, nothing you are planning about. You just give everything in God's time, into God's providence. Okay, so that's the main message of the Qoheleth. Just do your best every time, and whatever you do, in the belief of God, by denying yourself. That's the main message of Qoheleth. So that's all for today. We just a theological outline for the Westminster Church, especially canonical books in our Old Testament. So today's assignment for you is that first of all, you just summarize those only theological themes on the book of Proverbs, book of Job, and Qoheleth, just theological themes. And second, while you are summarize these theological themes, just give your feeling, your reflection. So what is there any difference from your previous thought on the book of Job, or on Qoheleth, or on the book of Proverbs? Or you have seen each book as professors teaching today. So I think I have got some insights from there, and then or some different point, some discording point from your own idea. So please let me know what is your evaluation on today's teachings and today's knowledge about those theological themes in each book. All right, that's all for today, and then we will see you next week in the Zoom meeting with our first presenter. Thank you. Bye.